These are the Pyrenees, the mountains that stretch from the Mediterranean to the Atlantic Ocean and separate France from Spain. You usually see them out of the left-hand window of the aeroplane on your way to Lloret de Mar or Torremolinos. But these mountains have a profound influence on the basquaise who live here, and this is reflected in the distinctive and highly spiced cooking of these fiery, independent people. These farmers aren't posing for picture postcards, you know. They're an essential part of this unique region. And the landscape is dotted with these rather delicious-looking stacks of fern. They remind me of crunchy walnut whips. But the Spanish influence abounds. The cooking is highly spiced and gutsy. And it's simple to cook and not wildly expensive. Oh dear, this place is like a morgue. There's nobody here, not a soul. Look, 48 different tables, not an order in the place. Well, it is January after all. And you know how we bust into these places and we scrounge things and we put their patrons through a lot of inconvenience. And I thought, well, they could have the afternoon off and I'd cook my own lunch. Seems quite elementary, doesn't it? And one of the things that the Basquaise people are very, very proud about are their red peppers. Come down here a minute, Clive. They love their red peppers, they love their green peppers, and they love their onions. In fact, those are the colours of Pays Basque. Also, they're very proud of their jambon de Bayonne, which is an essential part of this wonderful chicken dish which I'm going to cook for you today. Slide over here a bit, old bean. Little pieces of lovely maize-fed free-range chicken, but I'm using just the legs because that's quite economical. I've seasoned them with salt and pepper. Over here a bit, some beautiful fresh tomatoes, which I've peeled, skinned, and crushed up. And then one thing that the little dish must have is some of their famous red pimento powder, which is a little bit spicy. So, what I'm going to do is a bit of chopping up, a bit of cooking, little glass of Monsieur Bonnet's special wine, because it's Mr. Bonnet's hotel that we're staying in. And as they say, corny though it is, a day without wine is like a day without, you know what I mean? So, the director says I haven't been doing enough chopping. I haven't been demonstrating enough of my culinary skills recently, so we'll put that to rights and chop up a few onions, like that, because we need to fry those in a moment, in some lovely lard. This is a dish in the Pays Basque. You don't use olive oil down here, you don't use butter, you don't use corn oil, as I've said before, in fact. You use either goose fat, duck fat, or pork fat. And I have to chop these green peppers up, which I do quite swiftly. You're going to show them this, Clive. Come on, I'm doing my best here to be a bit jolly sporty on this quiet January afternoon, dashing away with the old sharp knife. You see? People like to watch me do this because they hope I'm going to cut my fingers, but I never do. Right, cut all those up, then this one. Very elementary, very simple. Then we need some Bayonne ham cut into little tiny pieces. I'll explain where all these bits go in a minute when we move over to the stove, but that'll be in a little while. Chop, chop, chop those into small bits, a bit finer, I think. Pleased with me so far? I'm quite enjoying myself. I've got the whole hotel to myself. There's about 800 rooms here. There's only the BBC crew staying in it, which must be a bit of a turn-off for the owners. There we are, a bit of chopped parsley, which goes in later. Lovely fresh thyme. Look, I've made a little rainbow. Isn't that pretty? A bit of chopped thyme down on the edge there. My little bit of pimento I'll put there just to add the effect. Stay on that, Clive. No, stay on that, please. Thank you very much. Because we've got to cut, because I'm going over to the stove, OK? OK, well, you see, into this little pan, the ideal meal for one person, but that's the trouble with borrowing things. You have to take what you're given. Are the chopped onions, the little pieces of jambon de Bayonne, which is ham from Bayonne, get it? OK, and some lovely, lovely lard. Next, we put in the already seasoned little leglets of poulet de maïs, that is to say, chicken which has been raised on corn. A lot of that's grown around here. I do hope the cameraman's taken a picture of those corn stalls, otherwise that little mark will be quite pointless, won't it? That's why the chickens are yellow. Anyway, back to the pot, if you don't mind. Let those take a nice golden colour in this quite brisk heat. Turn them all over. Now, next in go my red and green peppers. Stir those well in. Let them take the lard, get them seasoned well with the bits of ham. Now, if the director, and it's like knowing myself, it's over here, into my little bit of parsley here, look very closely, I've put that fierce red pimento powder, okay, and the garlic to flavour this dish even more. Got it, Clive? Good. So that goes in. It'll all take the heat really well, and then, finally, these chopped tomatoes, all their juices, stir it in like that. Give it a good shake like that, and let it simmer. Clive, can I speak to the customers, please? Sorry. That will take about an hour and 20 minutes to cook, okay? I'm going for the stroll. I've booked a table in the dining room. I'll see you in there, okay? Bye now.
BBC research has shown that you find these pictures of mountains just as fascinating as I do. But they were the birthplace of Ravel, you know, and look what he did for Torval and Dean. It is said he used to hum it as he strolled on his way down to Saint-Jean-de-Luz for a plate of grilled sardines. Yum, yum. But seriously, this former whaling port is a great place in winter. The Sun King Louis XIV got married here, Hemingway liked it, and I like Hemingway.
We had a good meal. A roast chicken, new green beans, mashed potatoes, a salad, and some apple pie and cheese. Sounds good, doesn't it? Almost as good, in fact, as my brilliant chicken basquaise. Look at that. Isn't that delicious? Anyway, as you can see, it's really just down to me in earnest at the moment, so if you wouldn't mind, I'll get on with my lonely little supper.
So, if there are any publishers out there, I really want to be a novelist, okay? So cop this lot. Little piece I've just written.
The cold winter air cleared my head, and the mountains capped with snow looked fine. Jake wanted to stop at the auberge for a drink. I said no, we'd miss the dealing if he did. We walked into Espelette as the sun broke the ridge. The horse fair was going good, and the men did their business.
This is actually quite extraordinary, isn't it? Pulitzer Prize for me, I shouldn't be surprised.
Pablo was grilling Bayonne ham over charcoal. I took a long pull from my flask and watched Clive take mood shots of men quietly discussing pelote with the easy passion of the aficionado. The women sold hard mountain cheeses on rough tables and stacked Spice Mountain sausages like gold bars. Jake said it was time Clive won an award for his photography. I took another draw from the flask and wandered off to buy a Gâteau Basque.
Which is filled with custard and tastes really good. Do you like that? Anyway, back to the real business. A cooking sketch. I've borrowed this wonderful old farmhouse which belongs to a family of elverfishers.
So you must come into my kitchen, as we say in the trade. Do you know, I've cooked in some grand kitchens in my time, in the restaurant kitchens of five-star hotels, on boats, by the side of the river, over campfires, but I've never felt so much that I'm right in the heart of things as I'm in this beautiful place. Look at the floor, for example. Ancient slabs that have been trodden by Napoleon's soldiers and generations of fishermen, peasants, and people who make these wonderful, wonderful hams. Clive, go up and have a look. Superb Bayonne hams, which have been salted down for a month. They've been allowed to dry for 3 or 4 days. They've been rubbed in piment rouge and hung up there to last for a year so they can fry them on sticks or, like I'm going to, cook over this wonderful wood fire. You'll see Madame sitting next to me quietly. She's been here, her family been here since 1832 when they started keeping records. She's about 84. She's a wonderful lady who's allowed us in. But listen, I must get down to a little bit of cooking, and you probably saw the rifles over the top there. Well, they shot these pigeons that I've got in the pot here. Very, very simple basquaise dish, which is called a salmi de palombe, a little stew of pigeons. If you can come very closely in, Clive, I've got bits of carrot, bits of the very same bacon that's hanging from the roof of this kitchen, little bits of garlic, bits of onion, and the pigeons beautifully golden brown. All I have to do
to finish off this wonderful, wonderful dish, sprinkle a little pepper. I'm sorry I'm slurring my words a bit. It's very, very hot down here. Little pepper, little salt, a little fresh thyme, a little fresh parsley. Flame it with the Armagnac of the region. Then, oops, I've dropped the wine. Stay there. We can't interrupt a good thing like this just because I knocked over the wine. We pour the wine in like that. Get a good look at that, Clive, because the lid's going on any moment now. Okay, there goes the lid. It takes about an hour to cook that. Better. I always enjoy a cigar in these tranquil moments. Yes, you see, the director likes the warp and weft of the Elva fishermen of the Ardeur River. Sadly, I don't care for Elvas, and I know they're celebrated on the River Severn back home, where they cook them with eggs and make Elva cheese. But these little silvery threads are hardy creatures, you know, swimming all the way from the Sargasso Sea just to end up cooked in olive oil and chilies. It's a brilliant programme, isn't it? Cooking, eel fishing, the wonderful nature sounds, the little coots, the weary farmers wending their way home on mobilettes late at night, and me stuck watching the river flow, really, with a little pile of stones and a super simple basquaise soup. Clive, come into this and have a little look. What I've been doing here, while everybody else has been getting cold, I've been bubbling up haricot vert and cabbage and goose fat and making myself the perfect warming winter snack. We don't have tins on Floyd on France, you know. We do everything really properly. How I made this soup: whole hard white cabbage, very finely sliced, a pound of white haricot beans, dried ones, soaked in water overnight, a good dollop of goose fat, melted in the pan, pop the things in, a litre or two of water, bit of ham or pork or sausage if you have it to enrich it, let it simmer for 3 or 4 hours and have a really fabulous time. Now, what you can do, what I enjoy myself here enormously, is get on with Elva's Part 2. An extraordinary thing happened here. Madame, walking through shot right now, flatly refused to let me film in her kitchen at Chez Pablo in Saint-Jean-de-Luz. Luckily, the chilies, an essential part of this dish, were not so bashful. I don't know why she wouldn't let us in. After all, everyone knows how to cook Elvas, or pigeon as they're called here. You simply toss them into very hot olive oil with finely chopped chilies for a moment till they turn white like spaghetti, and serve them piping hot. You can hear them sizzling in little earthenware bowls. Could you fade up the sizzling noises for a moment, please? Thank you. And you eat them with small wooden forks that don't conduct the heat. I have to say, though, I was very surprised to learn that even British Elvas are shipped in tankers down to the Spanish border, where, as you can see, they're enthusiastically consumed by one and all. And at about £7 a head, that's quite expensive. I wonder if she enjoyed hers. I'd rather have a pigeon. There, you see, you've actually cooked it, and they, poor things, poor souls, whose kitchen we've interrupted, whose life we have tipped upside down, are going to have to eat it. Monsieur, j'espère que mon petit plat c'est mangeable. Il faut que vous goûtez un peu. C'est bien un peu trop cuit, parce que c'était cuit depuis quelques heures maintenant. Mais quand même, c'est un petit pigeon. Il reste un peu de sauce. This is the moment when the normal hubble and bubble of a busy farmhouse goes very quiet. There's something about me and the BBC that turns vibrant, lively, beautiful Basque characters into statues. I wonder if it's my food.
Wow.
Ça va? Ça va? Fameux.
Fameux, oui, oui, oui.
The pigeons went down brilliantly, naturally. But let me introduce you now to my two new chums, Philippe and Martin, who, in their time, have cooked for Presidents Pompidou and Mitterrand. Now they run a small restaurant near Biarritz, and they're terribly proud of this dessert. And why not? You only need to add some whipped cream to some homemade custard, pour it over the fresh fruit, and pop it under the grill, top it off with a mint ice cream and a chocolate palm tree, and you're in business.
You know, one thing I really like is to get myself stuck into some real fish. And this is a piece of cod. A piece of cod which passeth all understanding. And I'll explain why. Because we're not going to make it into one of those horrible unidentified frying objects. We're going to cook it in a traditional Basque way, here in the restaurant of my friends, my new chums, Française, Philippe and Martin. And we're going to cook it brilliantly with these wonderful ingredients. Clive, come on in. Finely chopped shallots, that's burning. Salt behind the wine, some peeled, skinned and de-pipped tomato, little pieces of smoked bacon, freshly goldened breadcrumbs, little baby capers, and the piece of cod itself. So, off we go, no further ado. We whack that straight into the poêle. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. A couple of seconds each side to make it really succulent. We don't want to overcook this particular piece of fish. I then, while that's cooking away, I have to place this, because this is Philippe's recipe. I have to put this little bit of breadcrumb along just one side of it. Here, oh dear, knock things over, but it's always the same in a strange kitchen, always have a little problem. Like that. And then it's got to go under the grill for a second or two. They told me to leave it in the pan while I put it under the grill, but I'm not going to, because I've only got one frying pan, and I need at the same time to be frying these little pieces of bacon in there. So they go in like that. And while they sizzle away, Clive, if you could come over to the other important part of the sauce, which is, come down here, this is a fish stock, you know, fish heads and water and white wine, reduced till it's almost become a jelly, strained, then you add cream and butter and liquidize it, pass it through a sieve and make that smooth, creamy sauce. That you do, of course, you know, well in advance of preparing the fish itself. Then you add a little tiny drop of soya sauce, a little drop, give it a little bit of flavour. You add a few little pieces of chopped shallot to add the flavour again. They're not going to be cooked, they'll be slightly raw inside the sauce. And also a few pieces of tomato like that. A quick, c'est bon le poisson là?
Oh, yes, almost.
Thank you very much. Stir that around a second or two like that. Check our little lardons. They should be nicely golden, slightly brown on the edges.
Oh, it's okay, Floyd.
Thank you very much indeed, Philippe. Put those over there, turn off the gas if I can find my way around. Then, with my ladle, a little of the sauce around. Like that, with the pieces of tomato and the bits of shallot inside. Okay. Then, my little pieces of bacon on the top, so that they sort of shine through the sauce like little jewels, studded around this island of pure white fish, fresh beautiful cod. Excuse me, Clive, sorry about that. And finally, my couple of little capers. Now, he'll probably tell me off for bunching those together, so I'll stick my fingers and separate them a bit. Philippe, could you come and have a look?
Oh, yes.
How does that seem to be?
Oh, the sauce is nice. Can you taste? Oh, it's very nice, yes.
It's
Just
okay?
a little bit more salt.
A little more
Just
salt.
please.
I
It's
always,
okay.
I always
It's
forget
very
to
nice.
add a little bit of salt. They always tell me off. But I haven't done too badly, have I? Anyway, they've been busy in the background doing some other little bits and pieces as well to present you with a rather super basquaise meal at the moment. But in the meantime, I'm going to have a slight slurp. Because I'm trembling. I always do when I cook for people like that. I must say, thank you for letting me borrow your kitchen. Were you fairly happy with the way that I prepared your dish?
Yes, I am. You are a good chef, actually. Very good chef.
Tell me about these other things. Now look, Clive, come down here. This is black pudding. Lancashire, Yorkshire, all that business. But it's quite different here. What is special about the black pudding? Can you explain that dish to us?
This black pudding have prepared my father, you see? In this normal black pudding with avec du sang.
With the blood?
With the blood, yes. And with onions.
Your father killed the pig.
Oh, yes.
And he made the sausage.
And this make the sausage.
That's absolutely
Yeah,
superb,
yeah.
isn't it? And
It's
by the
very
way,
nice, actually.
it's here cooked with deep-fried apples, very sweet apples and chopped tomato. Very simple, but wonderful. Then, now here's a really brilliant dish in my view. A fillet of hake, lightly steamed, served with a creamy red pepper sauce. Very simple to make, just fish stock, red peppers and cream, liquidized and strained.
Then these things that look like poppadoms are in fact very, very thin slices of celeriac, deep fried. Celeriac chips, little basket of potato with fresh noodles, and of course the ever-present piment rouge that is very typical of the Basque region, used in much of the cooking. And of course there's no need to dwell upon the culinary masterpiece which I created myself unaided brilliantly a little earlier. But the real thing here is Philippe. Philippe, what is basquaise cooking all about?
The basquaise cooking, I think so, is the three color at the beginning. Is the red, is the green, and is white. We can say white for the onions, we can say red for the tomato, and we can say green for the pepper. So with these three things, we are thinking to make all the time something new, but something from the region. You see, I think so. Is with these three things, we have to make something new all the time.
I'm not sure about this music. It reminds me of waiting for the bee feature to start. I'd rather have my chums the Stranglers. Ah, that's much better, thank you. I can do my commentary perfectly now. This is Biarritz, and it's a bit like Bournemouth, really, but all the chateaux and apartments are firmly shuttered against the Atlantic winds and waiting for the summer parties to start. And if any place is synonymous with parties, this is it. Edward VII, Noel Coward, Sarah Bernard, Mrs. Simpson, the Aga Khan, old Uncle Tom Cobley, and all used to meet here. Of course, times have changed. The rich and famous might be a little faded these days. My next victim, Mini, for example, whose relatives built the Suez Canal and whose father was the mayor, now turns a penny by giving cookery lessons to television presenters. So, Madame, c'est à vous. Allez-y, fais-le. Faites comme chez toi.
Je vais essayer de faire comme chez moi.
Oui. That is not a pipperade. That is a pipperade. You little pipperade, you.
Voilà, déjà pour commencer, moi j'ai tout ensemble, cuit à l'avance.
She's already cooked hers all together, whereas mine were all apart. Just to refresh your memories of the little mistakes I've been making, okay? Have a look at that, Clive, not me, I'm embarrassed. Merci. Je peux dire que tu as oublié le persil?
Non, pas de persil.
Pas de... No parsley.
Le persil, il est dedans. Il est déjà le persil.
C'est délicieux. Tu as tout à fait raison. La reine
de la piperade, c'est moi.
C'est toi.
Merci.
It's absolutely
Merci.
true. I mean, look at that rubbish there. Heavy, lumpy, nasty British rail-style scrambled eggs with a tin of old ratatouille stuffed into it. Jolly awful. Whereas this, with these lovely, crunchily sliced and fried slices of jambon de Bayonne and the beautiful, soft ochre colours, magic flavours. We should go off somewhere together, shouldn't we? Bye-bye. Mimi and I have got things to do.